This is an instructional video on Adobe Audition. Today we're going to show you how to open a project, how to record a voiceover, and some of the features that Adobe Audition offers and some of the tools, and how to save your project and actually export your project to a file format so you can use it for distribution. So let's begin. First, we look for the icon for Adobe Audition. It'll either be on your desktop, it'll be on Launchpad on the Macs. Just look for it through your computer settings or your program settings. It looks like this, AU. I just click on it or open it. Once it opens, then you're going to see a lot of different windows, and we're going to talk about the structure of each of these windows and what their functions might be. Adobe Audition is a really good program to use when you're trying to do voiceovers for news stories, for documentaries, for any kind of production project that you want to do for both video and audio distribution. So my program has opened up. You see this window right here. This is called the file window. This is where I'm going to show when I record something, the file will show up here. If I'm going to import a file, which we'll show you as well today, they will appear right here. So all your media appears in this bin or file bin. Then you have this window right here, which is where your clips, where your tracks, your waveform for your voiceovers, when you're recording, all that will appear in this window. You can see at the top that you have also some menu buttons, File, Edit, Multitrack, and so on. You can go through those menus and see what each one of the functions does. It's just like any program. You can access different features and functions with this program, either through the menu buttons at the top or through other functions directly in the bins or the windows. In the clip or track window, you're going to see some tools at the bottom, or buttons for functions. They look very similar to what you're used to with play, pause, stop, fast forward, rewind, and record. Then you're also going to see over here, these are some tools to help expand the view of the clip or the track that you're working with so that you can get into some real detail if you need to edit that. And then you can also reverse it back to normal view if you want to. At the top here are some other tools as well. Until you have an actual clip in the clip window, you're not going to see them highlighted. But we'll talk about some of these tools up here. What you need to do, again, just like any program, I'm going to show you the basics of how to get started with the program, but it's really up to you to take each one of these tools and start playing with them and figure out what you can do with it. This program will actually do quite a bit of audio editing for you. This window down here then is called the PPM, or the Peak Performance Meter. This is where you're going to adjust your volume levels when you're recording and or working with multi-track before you export something. And actually before you record something, you want to set your volume levels as well. So you want this volume level to reach about 3/4 of the way on this window. It will be a little bit in the yellow, mostly green, a little bit in the yellow. What you want to avoid is getting into the red. The red is always bad. So stay out of the red, because that means that your audio is too loud and that you will have distorted audio, and you really can't fix that in any other program. So make sure you have good original quality audio when you're starting out. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to create a project where I am actually recording a voiceover, and so I have two buttons up here. And the project will end up being, in the end, a voiceover with music. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do a project assignment, how to be a DJ. So we have two tabs up here. We have a waveform tab and a multi-track tab. We're going to start in the waveform because I need to record my voiceover first. So I open that up and you see a new window appear. It's called New Audio File. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to name my file. And also you always want to make sure that you are naming your files correctly and that you are able to know what exactly that file is. So good file management is key. So I always put my first initial, last name, and then I'm going to put also the assignment that I'm working on, which let's say for this purpose it's assignment 1, and I'm going to put down what it is. It's a voiceover, okay, or VO. Then I have the sample rate, and the sample rate here is for 48,000 right now. They're measured in hertz, and if you bring the drop down menu down, you have several choices here. 48,000, if you remember, is the best setting or sample rate for television. So a lot of times we will choose this if we're going to distribute our audio file on TV somewhere. If we're not, and we're going to do it on radio, or we're going to record it to a CD, if you still do that, it will be 44,100. So both those settings actually are good for television and radio, but TV, this is the best for television, and it defaults to 48,000. So I'm going to choose that one. Under channels, I have a selection of mono, stereo, 5.1, or I can customize it. I'm going to go with the default and use stereo. That will record on the left and right track the same type of audio. Then I've got a bit rate. And again, the drop down menu gives you several choices. It defaults to 32 float, which is a very common bit rate, so I'm going to choose that as well. I hit OK, and as you can see in my window here, this is where my waveform is going to show when I start to record. This is my left track right here, and this is my right track right here. Okay. So first thing we have to do is we have to set our volume levels, and the only way to do that is to actually go ahead and record. So I'm going to hit my record button. Now you're going to see waveforms there. And on this little box here that you will see in each of the edit bays, you will need to set the volume level on the output side. So I'm going to, if you notice, I bring it down. I have almost a non-existent volume level. The waveform gets very, very short or small. If I bring it up and I start talking like this, that is way too distorted. You notice the PPM is in the red. The peaks of the waveform are top to bottom, and that is not good audio. So I set it correctly. Since I have my volume level already set and I'm ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and start at the very beginning of this clip, and I'm going to drag my mouse over to highlight it. And then I'm just going to delete it because I don't need it. So I hit the delete button on the keyboard and it's gone. Now I'm ready to record my actual audio. So I'm going to hit the record button again, and I'm going to count down usually 3, 2, 1. This is Cheryl Morris with TV News 98. What I need is the actual voiceover section. So I'm going to listen to it. This is Cheryl Morris with TV News 98. That's what I want. So all of this stuff from here and from here, I don't need. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the very beginning and work my way back, drag the mouse back and highlight that, and I'm going to delete it. Then I'm going to work my way from the end of it, and work to this point, and I'm going to get rid of that as well. Now, when I hit the home button, it brings my red cursor at the very beginning. I hit the space bar, and I've got exactly only my voiceover, which is what I want. Now you notice here, this is the duration of my voiceover. It's 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds long. And this can be very important to you if you have to meet a certain time frame. So you want to make sure you time your voiceover if that's necessary for your production or your project. You notice that it appears in the file bin window. So now that I have my voiceover, I really need a piece of music to add to it. So how do you import a file into the bin? If you are in the bin window itself, the file bin window, then you're going to right click and you're going to hit import. And you're going to look for your piece of music. I happen to have one right here, and it automatically loads into your bin window. So I have my piece of music and I have my voiceover. Now I'm ready to mix the two together. I don't do that in the waveform view. I use it in the multi-track view. So I'm clicking on multi-track. Okay, a new multi-track session appears. Again, I need to name it so that I am familiar with what this assignment or this project is. So I'm going to put assignment 1 just like I did before. And this time it's going to be my session. Then I got to tell it where I want to save it at. This is very important. A lot of students don't use good file management, one, but they also don't have no idea where they're saving anything. So you want to make sure you hit browse. You should have your external hard drive hooked up at this point on the computer already. So you're going to select your external hard drive. You're going to pick where you want to put it. If it's a particular folder, if it's the assignment, I might create an assignment folder, which would be a good idea. And I'm going to pick that and select that folder. Now you see that it's going on my hard drive, the F drive, under assignment 1 folder. That's very important to you so you can find things very easily and retrieve them when you need them. I don't need a template here. You can create templates for yourself if you know you're going to do a certain type of recording all the time and you have certain settings that you want for it. That's a handy tool to have, but we don't need one at this point for this project. The sample rate needs to match what you recorded as much as possible. So 48,000 hertz, the bit rate is 32 float, and a stereo is what I'm looking for. So I hit OK. This creates the multi-track session. Now you notice that in this window, now I have multiple tracks. I have track 1, track 2, track 3. And what I want to do is put a different element on each track. So first of all, I'm going to put my voiceover by dragging it over to that track 1. And you're going to see it there. And then I'm going to take my music and I'm going to drag it to the other track. Now, I've got a message that comes up because my sample rate's not exactly the same on the music when it was recorded because I didn't record it. And so what I want to do is just hit OK, and it matches everything. Now you see a waveform of music and you see a waveform for my voiceover. This is exactly what you want. So what I want to do is I want to hear my main audio is going to be my voice. So when I play this, you're going to hear that the music's way too loud, and then I'll show you how to adjust it. But let's play it first so you can hear the difference. This is Cheryl Morris with TV News 98. As you can hear, it's very hard to hear my voiceover. The music is way too loud. So what I want to do is see this yellow line right here on this track. What I want to do is I want to fade that audio in. You see this little icon right here on that track. If I click on it and drag, this is a fading tool. So if you notice, I'm going to end the fade right when the voiceover ends. You can do this very easily, and let's listen to see how it sounds to see if it's exactly what we want. Now you heard that it gets loud at the very end there, so it's almost hard to hear. So you may have to do some adjusting on this to kind of get it right. So let's listen to it again. This is Cheryl Morris with TV News 98. That was a little bit easier. It was a nice fade up. You could hear my voice. But if it's still not what you want, there is a way to do this selection. So let me go back and undo the fade until we get back to the same position. Okay, now there's no fade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put keyframes on this little yellow line here. So keyframes are just points that you can adjust a portion of a clip. So while I'm right there, I'm going to click and you're going to see a blue dot appear. I'm going to also then put a blue dot real close to that and one at the end here, and those two are real close together. What these serve, this space in between serves as a fade, and the duration of the fade is really tight. So I'm going to take these two inside keyframes and I'm going to drag them down just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to drag them all the way through. Okay. And then I'm going to drag this over. I'm actually not going to need that last one, so I just click on it and I hit delete on the keyboard and it deletes it. So then I can move them around, and I hit the home key on my keyboard and it takes my cursor back to the beginning, and let's listen.
This is Cheryl Morris with TV News 98.
So you can accomplish it, the fade up, in two different ways. If you don't like it, you can add extra keyframes and maybe adjust it a little bit more to kind of give you a little bit better flow. Let's try this one.
This is Cheryl Morris with TV News 98.
That's how you can change a portion of a clip, is by using the keyframes. Or you can use these handy dandy fades at the beginning and at the end. Oh, that's zooming in. Let's go back the other way. That's what these buttons are for. You can see that there's a fade icon at the end too. But music naturally fades out, so we don't need that. Okay, so this is Audition. This is exactly what I want. I don't want to change it in any other way. So what I'm going to do is two things. I'm going to save this session the way it is. And that reason that I saved the session or the project is because if I ever want to go back into it, I can do that. And I can change it. If I don't save the session, I can't do that. I'm going to have to start from scratch again. So I go under File, and I hit Save As. And there's my session. You notice the ending of the file name is SESX. That means that it is a session. It's not the file format that you can use in a production or a project. I'm going to keep my same folder and my same drive here, and I'm going to keep the format the same and all of this information the same. And now I've got it saved. Okay. Now, it's not ready for me to use in any other project. I have to have it in a file format to be able to do that. The session doesn't do that. So if you ever see that SESSX at the end of your file name, that's not the file that you're going to be able to use in a production. So go under File, hit Export. And then what you're going to do is hit Multi-Track Mixdown and then Entire Session. Now you can change this, and I'm going to take the word session out so I don't get confused. And I'm just going to say mix down, and it's got .wav, which is a WAV file. And if you notice on the format, that's what I have listed there. You can pick any other kind of file format that's listed here if you want to, but WAV is a very good quality for television, so I'm going to use that. I tell it where I want to save it as well. So I'm going to go to TSU. I am going to go to assignment, wait a minute, I think it was under here, assignment 1. There we go. And I'm going to pick my folder and I'm going to hit save. Okay, that's where I want it to go, so I know exactly where it is. Same as source for sample type, new sample type, all that information should stay the same. You shouldn't have to change anything else. So then hit OK. And as you see, it took a very short time, but there was a little window right here that appeared and it was showing you the export. Now never trust that. What you want to do then is to minimize the program, go into your hard drive, into the folder that you chose, into that folder, and look for the one that says waveform sound. Okay? Not the voiceover, but the mixdown. And you want to play it.
With TV News 98.
Now, if it sounds exactly the way you want it, you've done a successful exporting of your project. You're ready to then start to use it in any other way or distribute it to wherever you need it to go. You can do a lot of different effects here. So if you hit effects and you can look through here and you're going to see a lot of different ones, you just apply that effect to whatever track that you're working on. And that will give it a nice hollow sound or any kind of, you just got to play with them to see if those are the ones that you want. And if you don't like it, you can always do the undo. And that's Control Z on the keyboard or by going up to Edit and Undo. So those are things that you can always use in this program. Up here, there's a little razor. So if I wanted to cut out a piece of this music, let's say I didn't want this whole thing and I wanted to move this from here to here, I wanted to cut. So I'm going to take that razor and I'm going to cut. And what it did was basically, like I go back to off that tool, so I go back to the move tool. If I move this cursor, you're going to see that it changed it into two different files. So I can click on that file and I hit delete and it's gone. So those are some of the features. Again, play with this program. You really need to get in there and play with things and tools and look at things, and you're going to really be able to understand the program a lot more. Remember, you don't just use something once and know it forever. You have to practice with it. Good luck with your project.